Hey YouTube, it's Arcus13 and it is apparently bath time for my cat Irene. So a while back I had the idea to do a video where I share some of my favorite shiny Pokemon. The problem was, there were quite a few of them that I liked. At least 410, and that's just the ones that I saved. So I decided to break it down into groups. I plan on doing videos of my favorite Pokemon from Unova and Hoenn, just due to the sheer number of shinies I like from those regions, and possibly one for Kanto as well. And then I thought, why not do that for the legendary Pokemon? And then I had another idea. Why not go through the shiny of every legendary and mythical Pokemon and rank them all? But how would I do this? It's essentially with great difficulty. I'm not just interested in how cool the shiny is. Okay, you're being a bit loud here, cat. Sorry if you're hearing that. As I said, I'm not interested in just how cool the shiny is. Some Pokemon are naturally cooler than others. For example, Mewtwo just doesn't look intimidating. It looked intimidating in the Team Rocket Metal suit, but not normally. The design's improved with the graphics, that's all I'm saying. I'm more interested in how the shinies compare to the original. So I came up with this complex score, right here. So, and I'm going to break this down. Now I'll start with a 10, meaning that if all the categories have scores of 0, it'd still have a score of 10. The SO and SS are the scores of how the original and shiny look respectively. If the shiny looks better than the original, the score will get higher. If the original looks better, the score will go down. And D is the difference between the two. How different do the original and shiny look? How easy would it be to pick them out? As for the PO and PS, those are scores for the color palettes. Now, I do not have access to the actual palettes Game Freak uses. However, I found a website that can generate palettes from images, like this one of me in front of these apps, or this stock photo this stock photo I found. This lady riding a bike. An image I like to call Strangle Me Elmo. Or my sleep paralysis demon. So, I am basing this on their sprites from the Gen 5 black and white games, taken from Bulbapedia. The sprites they have for Gen 6 and beyond aren't compatible with my video editor, and may not be compatible with the palette generator either. And besides, I don't really know much past Kalos. Don't really know Kalos that well either. But my scores and the palettes are all based on these sprites. So I have ranked every legendary and mythical Pokemon up until Unova, and that is including Fiona. Believe it or not, there is some controversy around whether or not that counts as a mythical. Well, I might do a video on that. And I've also gone through every single one of their forms to determine which form is the best. And I ranked each form separately, except for Arceus and Genesect. I only used their default forms because there are too many Arceus sprites, and the difference for Genesect is almost negligible. But I still might do a video for just Arceus someday. Maybe not even just the shinies, just ranking the individual palette. So going into this, there were some that I figured would do good, and some that I figured would do well. I figured the number one would be either Rayquaza or Giratina, because those are two of the best shinies I've ever seen. Yeah. Although there were some wild cards in the form of Celebi and Mew. That was a good reaction, cat. And there were some that I figured would do poorly. Some lived up to my expectations or down to them. Some didn't. And there are 3 in the top 10 that I never expected going into this. But that will be in another video, because my scoring sheet, where I wrote down some initial thoughts, ended up being 26 pages and 70,410 words long. So this is going to be at least 6 videos. And even though this intro is already running long, I'm still going to start the list in this video. I'll be starting in last place and gradually working my way up to number 1. So, getting back to the expected and unexpected, for a while the loser was one that I kind of expected. And then it was upstaged by one I didn't expect. I expected that one to be upstaged later on, but it wasn't. So I was not expecting this to be the loser. With only 2 points out of a possible maximum of 40, the loser is, say this with me, who's that Pokemon? I'm sorry I had to do that at least once. It's Manafee. I know. I'm just as surprised as you are. Manafee is so cute. And I want a plushie of it. Seriously, someone give me a plushie of it, and Celebi too. Maybe even one from Mew. But the shiny definitely takes a turn for the worse, in my opinion. So, there are 5 instances on this list where a Pokemon goes from being light blue to being teal. It works in their favor for 3 of these cases. Not so much for the other 2. Manafee falls into this category. Into the latter group. And her tail's twitching. Shiny Manafee looks a little bit toxic. And a lot more alien. So Manafee is clearly supposed to be a cutesy design. And while a toxic Manafee might look somewhat fierce... Oh, she is shaking the whole laptop here. Well, she has her foot right up against it. Okay. While the toxic Manafee might look somewhat fierce, it's like having a teddy bear being fierce. And, I mean, that is a very, difficult thing to do. while still having it look like a teddy bear and not sound like Chimera. And for whatever reason, Shiny Manaphy is giving me real Annabelle vibes, and furthermore, Shiny Manaphy doesn't really look that different, so it gets a difference score of 1. But now let's look at the palettes. So, the normal Manaphy palette doesn't look that bad. I wouldn't use it in any digital art, but I could easily see someone painting with these. The Shiny Manaphy palette, I gave it an ew out of 10, which I've given to only 2 others. But unlike those 2, the ew out of 10 isn't due to the palette generator screwing up. This is due to the game developers, because all the colors in that palette are present in a fair amount. So with a score of 2 out of 40, Manaphy has the gold medal. I cannot speak here. With a score of 2 out of 40, Manaphy has the gold medal of loserdom. And just as I start recording this, that's when my cat starts licking herself again. Good timing, cat. Good timing. So, I scored these all in alphabetical order, as that's how they were arranged in my files. Sorry, it's finals week. My last place kept getting lower with every other entry, until the eighth one, where the score of the last place it went from plummeted from 14 out of 40 to 3 out of 40. And it remained as last place until I got to Manafee, which was like the first one that I did. So who managed to hold the last place medal for so long? Dark Rye. Dark Rye is one of my favorite Pokemon. It's creepy, and I love it for that. It is made to be a nightmare Pokemon, and it just screams nightmare. If I would not want to meet one of these things in a dark alley, or park at noon, either for that matter. A brightly lit park at noon. Forgot the whole joke there. Yeah. If I met one in real life, I'd be freaking out well before it used any move on me. And it is one of only 2 Pokemon that gave the original a score of 10 out of 10. And the other one being Mew. I've given quite a few of the shinies 10 out of 10, and it's just because I wanted them to be better than the originals, and there are also a few that are more than 10 out of 10. We'll get to those in a much later video. But shiny Dark Rye, It's just terrible. It looks like it went under a black light and didn't realize how reflective it actually is. It looks way more purple than black. I think that's supposed to be way worse purple than black. Which doesn't because it doesn't really... I have no idea why I wrote there. Why I wrote it like that. But purple does not really fit the Pokemon at all. The only reason it has a 6 out of 10 is because even with that, even with that color, it does still look a little scary just due to how it's shaped. And the green eye is slightly scarier than the blue, but it doesn't really look all that different. So there are a few really good color palettes out there. Here, like for example, the grayscale with another color thrown in for some spice. And there are some that fill out like these good color palettes. Dark Rye is one of those. And grayscale and red is actually a pretty common in one and is a really good palette. And even though the white of normal Dark Rye is a little blue, it still works. But the shiny palette looks like as I said, like a beginner's attempt at fashion. While green and magenta can be a good combo if you really try, those particular shades clash hard. And as a quick side note, I have also calculated a raw score for the shinies, which is like the shiny score, the shiny palette score, and the difference all added up. Even though Dark Rye got a final score of 3 out of 10, it's not a raw score of 12 out of 30 just because of how... That should be a 12 out of 40. Why did I say... Because I hit the wrong key there. Even though Dark Rye got a 3 out of 40, it has a raw score of 12 out of 30 just because of how cool Dark Rye's design is. The cat left. So now I can actually use the laptop microphone rather than the headphone ones. Well, I mean, I could still have used them ahead of time, but it wouldn't have been as clear. So, Manafee has taken in home the gold medal of loser. And like Dark Rye is like this, has the silver medal. So who has the third? One that would probably just melt the metal into itself. Heatran has a few interesting facts about it. It is one of 3 legendary Pokemon that can be either male or female, the other 2 being Kubfu and its evolution Urshifu. It's the only Pokemon that's fire and steel type. It has the most double resistances of all Pokemon with 5: Steel, Bug, Grass, Ice, and Fairy. However, Heatran doesn't really look all that cool. It looks like a slug. But I will say that the mouth does look cool and makes it look like a robot. And though both the normal and shiny look very similar, I have to give it a very slight edge to the shiny. It looks more like it's just come out of lava and is cooling off. Or it's being illuminated by lava. It kind of reminds me of the scene from Incredibles after the robot was thrown into the lava. The palettes. Yeah. I actually kind of like the normal palette. As I said, I'm not an artist. But if I was, I could make something out of this. And I could easily... Yeah. I can see like a land... Looking at it now, I can kind of see like maybe like a desert landscape. With the goal as the sun and white clouds. Georgia O'Keeffe. But the shiny palette, I literally wrote ew out of 10 for the for the score. And I know that the magenta is due. I know that the magenta is due to the palettes generator, not Game Freak. I have no idea how the generator works or why it went for the small amount of magenta in the eye. But that's although this is not the only case where it goes for a small on this list where it goes for a small object. It chooses color from a small what's the word I'm trying to think of? Feature. It's a feature, not a bug. I don't know why. But yeah, so not sure why it went for that small amount of magenta in the eye, but it's really clashing with that red orange. Not clashing with the other two, but really does not like that red orange. So Heatran ends up with a score of 6 out of 10. What I wrote 10 again, not 40. It's higher than Manafee and Dark Rye combined, but again, it's still third worst. But anyway, that does it for today's video. So be sure to like and subscribe and check back for more. Or I have so much planned that I'm not sure if I will get to all of it, but I still have plenty planned. So stay tuned for that and especially for the rest of this series if you're interested. But yeah, so see you then. Didn't stop. Yeah. What are you looking at? Are you about to leave? Stop looking at me like that. Oh no, I just heard her jingle mouse. Yep, there she goes. That's gonna be an interesting out of... Oh, that's gonna be an interesting out of context line.